Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August Cleveland City Schools Board of Education meeting. Welcome, everyone, to our new building. It's an exciting day for us here to be in this new facility. Before we get started, we're going to ask our new student rep, Jackson Aceron, to lead us in a moment of silence and also the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pause for a moment of silence. Sorry about that, guys. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I make a couple comments, I want to ask all of our former Cleveland City Schools Board of Education members to stand. I just want to recognize them. I think we have 4 in the room today. I also want to recognize Lynn Vols, the Executive Director of BCPF, and Danielle Seals with the Chamber. Welcome. As chairman of the Cleveland City School Board of Education, I'm committed to a few things, more than a few, but for this meeting. Running an orderly and efficient meeting, treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided equal voice for all matters, and they should communicate through the Director of Schools for addressing his staff. Here are some reminders for parents in the community. Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, just click on District, Board of Directors, and select Board Policies. Our meetings are not public forums. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, Cleveland City Schools employee, or a parent guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board via 2 methods. Those methods can be found in School Board Policy 1.404, which includes appearing before the board via a pre-meeting request or addressing the board on agenda items via same-day requests. Board members, I want to remind you that if you want to speak, make sure you press the touchpad, and then when you're done speaking, touch it again, and the red light will go off. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
We don't have any public comments, so we'll move to the next agenda item. Is there anything on the consent agenda that you would like removed? All right, so nothing to be removed. So I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as provided.
Second.
All right, so we have a first by Matthew Coleman and a second by Peggy Pasterfield. All right, will you call the roll? Okay. Well, they both did it at the same time, so I'm recognizing Peggy.
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Matthew? Yes. Carolyn? Yes. Andy? Yes. Peggy? Yes. Nate?
Yes?
And Krista?
Yes.
And Jody is absent. It passes.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the director's update, and I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Elliott.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. It's good to see everybody here tonight. And so we're here with a quick update from me, but it might take just a few minutes because we have several updates over the summer. A lot of things going on in schools during the summer, even when we're off, so to speak. So first of all, it's good to see everybody. Tonight I'm going to recognize some of our new administrative staff and changes in our school system this summer, and just like to recognize those. Ms. Whitener is now our principal over at Candies Creek, Cherokee. She's in the audience here, so welcome to Ms. Whitener. And her counterpart as assistant principal at Candies Creek now is Ryan Schwarzentrooper, so we're excited coming from Cleveland Middle School. Melissa Bishop took over as our principal at Yates Primary, and joining her is Mr. Casey Price as assistant principal at Yates Primary. Our other changes over at Mayfield, we have a new principal there, Dr. Jessica Bigham, And joining her on staff is Mr. Jay Garcia. And Mr. Jay Garcia and Dr. Bigham over there in the corner. So congratulations. Over at Both Bauer, we had an opening in assistant principal, and Dr. Joe Parker is now the assistant principal, joining Dr. Barnes and his team. And Donald Benton is here, and he'll be sharing a little later, but he is now the assistant principal over at Cleveland High School. So those are some of our school staff changes. With that, a few other changes at the district level. We have a human resources specialist. Dr. Susan Rodriguez came from Cleveland High School over to our staff here at our office, and Miss Brandy King is back here, and she is our new communications specialist. So we welcome them. And our final bit of changes that happened over the summer in our district level administrative team. Mr. Randy Stevens joins us as our new CTE supervisor on our staff, coming from Mayfield. Welcome. Mr. Kaiser transitioned into a new role, working in human resources, but also taking on the title of assistant director of schools. And also, Ms. Autumn O'Brien is going to be taking on a new feat for us, a new important piece there. She's a director of our new Family Resource Center, and it's going to be something exciting that we see in the future over at the Denning Center. So we're really excited about that. Next month, we'll be recognizing our new teachers, and later we'll be recognizing our retired teachers, so a busy time. In the summer, we had several events going on. I wanted to highlight a few of those. We did have the Tennessee Department of Ed come and visit and see all the great things that were happening in our summer academic programs that went all through the month of June this year. We had those at Yates, over at Cleveland Middle School for our 3rd through 7th grade, and then our high school age students at Cleveland High School. It was a fabulous time. It was great to host the Tennessee Department of Ed. A board retreat was held on Wednesday, June 19th, that we came together to have some planning. School board members attended the TSBA Summer Law Summit back in July, a couple of weeks ago. Our BCPEF conducted its annual joint meeting on July the 29th and gathered together with the Bradley County Board. And our Educational Support Center hosted last week an open house for our staff so they could have a sneak peek into what we saw here tonight. So a lot of things happening over the summer. A few other pieces to address is our teachers gathered for several sessions of training. Lee University was a great host to us this year as we did a trauma-equipped teacher summit. We had well over 100 teachers join that, even some bus drivers and other individuals on our staff come to that conference, so it was an amazing time together. Mr. Cagle met with all our coaches a couple of weeks ago to talk about financial sponsorships and how that works, and as we jumpstart a new school year, and attended over at Cleveland Middle School. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a week-long new teacher training. Orientation, curriculum, capturing kids' hearts were the main topics there. And our administrators gathered for their annual back-to-school retreat back at Johnston Woods last week. The last piece here, last week, our Cleveland City School staff kicked off a great new year over at Convocation at Cleveland High School, and then they were involved in professional training throughout the week and school level and district level. And then we had also at the end of the week some busy, important back-to-school nights. It was great to see all the families come out last Thursday, especially Tuesday for the high school as well. The last bit of announcements, so to speak, is regarding some recognitions and contributions that we have received just over the summer. We got notification from the state that we received a $10,000 state grant to create a reading bus to go out into our community, and so I appreciate our team and our office to pull that grant together, and looking forward to seeing that come together this school year. Our communications team received national recognition from the NSPRA. They got the Golden Achievement Award for their contributions on diversity and putting that in our communications on a regular basis. And also, Cleveland Middle School received an honorable mention for their social media posts this past year from the National School Public Relations Association. That was wonderful news. Cleveland High School received a $17,000 aeronautics education grant this past month, and the Distinguished Young Women a couple of weeks ago called us over to Lee University and made a really special presentation of of many, many books, from Scholastic Books to Cleveland City Schools. And we're excited. We feel like that really tied in well for as we get this reading bus kicked off and going. So that was a nice surprise. So thank you to all those individuals and for the grants and donations. One thing that I did want to bring to you guys' attention, at Convocation and at our administrative retreat, we shared some core beliefs that our focus will be on as we continue to move forward this year, and it's related to the shield. A few years ago, when we came together to identify our shield as who we are and represent us, we talked about a lot of the history that goes at Cleveland High School and that coat of arms, and we really rallied around that. But also we wanted to talk about the 4 components of the shield that are represented in that indication of that, and they are around academic success. They're the beliefs about that. If we provide rigorous and engaging academic programs tailored to the diverse needs of our students, then every student can achieve their highest potential and be prepared for future success. The second one was regarding students and families and their support services. If we offer comprehensive support services that address the physical, mental, and social needs of our students and their families, then we will create a nurturing environment where students can thrive inside and outside the classroom. Another core belief we really want to emphasize, the third part of this shield, recruiting, developing, and retaining highly effective employees. If we recruit, develop, and retain passionate and highly effective employees, then we will foster this learning environment that inspires excellence and derives student achievement. And the last one is the clear culture of communication, the importance to tie all this together. If we establish a clear and consistent culture of communication within our school community, then we will build trust, improve collaboration, and foster a shared vision for the success of all students. And I wanted to share that tonight because this is going to be, I think this is the foundation where we have to take and develop our goals and everything as we move forward off of these 4 components. So we'll talk more as we build that out in the future, but I wanted to highlight tonight what we've talked about last week at Convocation. The final piece I have the joy of recognizing is you, the board, tonight. Cleveland City Board of Education was named a TSBA Board of Distinction. Our board has recently been honored with the prestigious TSBA award, and this recognition is a testament to the board's commitment to excellence in every aspect of board responsibility. And you can see there the 4 core areas: planning, policy, promotion, and board development. So congratulations. I have this plaque here to present to you guys tonight and honor you for your accomplishments. All right, and that's my update for the night.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. Next on the agenda, we have Spotlight, and we're going to have 2, but first we're going to start with retiring teachers.
Okay, we're going to call Mr. Kaiser up to present some certificates and recognize our retiring teachers tonight.
Good evening, Board. We have the pleasure to recognize several outstanding educators tonight who have made the decision to retire. So I am going to, we're going to show them on the screen, and then I'm going to read a quote from their administrator. We're going to have them come up, and then we'll have them stand in front here of the board, and we will get a picture of you. We are going to begin with Ms. Frankie Durham from Blythe Bower Elementary School. A quote from Dr. Barnes: Ms. Durham's kindness and desire to be a team player made her a tremendous asset at Blythe Bower Elementary School. It was always apparent that her number one concern was her students and their learning. She will be greatly missed at Blythe Bower. Ms. Durham? Where'd you go? There you are. Felt like this is a retirement section over here.
That's right.
Next, Miss Lisa Irby, who is retired from being principal at Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary. And a quote from Dr. Elliott: Lisa Irby has made a profound impact on Cleveland and beyond. Her dedication and passion for education have not only shaped the futures of countless students, but also inspired colleagues and friends. Her visionary leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence have been evident throughout the years. Her candor, humor, and camaraderie have been a source of joy and comfort for those who work with her. Ms. Irby. I will tell you that neither one of these ladies have fully escaped from us yet. Ms. Durham's doing an interim for a maternity leave, and Ms. Irby is the part-time parent coordinator at Blythe Bowers, so they're pseudo-retired. Next, Sherry Carol Morgan from Cleveland High School, and a quote from Mr. Pritchard. Sherry has made a tremendous difference at CHS over the years in our CTE department. Her criminal justice classes have been an integral part of the fabric of Cleveland High School for many years. We're going to miss her at CHS and wish her a wonderful retirement. Also from Cleveland High School, Ms. Barbara Ector. And Mr. Pritchard's quote about Ms. Ector was, Ms. Ector has worked tirelessly over the years as a teacher and an administrator for Cleveland City Schools. Her level of professionalism and ability to provide insights into solving difficult problems will be greatly missed at Cleveland High School. We wish her a wonderful retirement. And I don't believe that Ms. Ector is able to be with us tonight, but we want to give her a round of applause. Next, Ms. Becky Guthrie from Cleveland High School. Also a quote from Mr. Pritchard. Becky Guthrie has done so much for the students of Cleveland High School over the years that it's hard to find a place to start. She has especially been a champion for students as they make their transition to their next stop after Cleveland High School. We are so thankful for her years of selfless service to our school. Ms. Guthrie. Ms. Guthrie is also back in a part-time role. Next is Ms. Grace Dyrick from Cleveland Middle School. A quote from Mr. Akiona. Grace Dyrick turned the Cleveland Middle School Library into an experience. Her passion for her work and her ability to find unique items that contributed to the atmosphere of the Media Center set Ms. Dyrick apart as one of the absolute best to ever hold her position in Cleveland City Schools. She is greatly missed. Ms. Dyrick. Also from Cleveland Middle School, Cindy Van Pelt. Mr. Akiona had this to say about her. Ms. Van Pelt brought a wealth of knowledge to Cleveland Middle School and raised the bar on professionalism across the school. She is one of those employees that is irreplaceable in terms of her knowledge and ability to work with students as well as teachers. We miss her greatly at CMS. Ms. Van Pelt. Now from Yates Primary, Miss Susie Hoops Whitlock. Miss Susie Hoops Whitlock is leaving behind a legacy that has shaped countless young minds. Known for her boundless enthusiasm and dedication, Miss Hoops Whitlock has been a beacon of learning for kindergarten and first graders, nurturing their curiosity and guiding them as they embarked on their reading journeys. And that's a quote from Miss Bishop. Miss Hoops Whitlock. And our last retiree, Mr. Rennie Wittenbarger, who has served as our CTE supervisor. This is a quote from Dr. Elliott. Over the last 26 years in Cleveland City Schools, Rennie Wittenbarger has left an indelible mark on the landscape of career and technical education. His vision and passion for bridging community, industry, and schools created countless pathways for students to succeed at Cleveland Middle, Cleveland High, and beyond. His contributions and dedication will be remembered and cherished by all who had the privilege of working with him. Mr. Rennie Wittenbarger. He was here. So you want to get a picture? Congratulations to all of our retirees.
Right. As we move on with our spotlights, we are going to have the privilege tonight to honor and recognize one of our very own board members. Krista McKay is here with us tonight, and this is her last meeting in August, we believe, that she'll be with us on this occasion. This is our last general meeting. So we did want to take a moment to recognize and say a few things about Ms. McKay. And first of all, I've enjoyed working with her in different capacities over the last few years here in Cleveland City Schools, and it's an honor to have worked with her, and brings a lot of insight and perspective as we looked at different issues, and I just appreciate her support and look forward to continue to talk with her and see her in the community as we move forward. So thank you, Ms. McKay. I do have one more quote. Ms. Riggins could not be here with us tonight, but she did send me a quote that she would like for me to read for Krista, and this comes from Jody Riggins. Thank you for all the time and effort you have put into serving our community by being a school board member and a significant site facility committee participant. I am grateful for your common sense perspective in all of our discussions, policy reviews, major decisions. Your point of view has had value and helped shape my look at various topics. You're very, very well spoken and articulate. I appreciate that you put student advancement at the forefront of all the decisions. I will miss you and wish you the very best as you continue to contribute to the education of our kids. Jody Riggins. And those are the comments I had to make, so Mr. Tucker.
Let you guys go, and now I'll go last.
That's it. It has been a lot of fun over the last 2 years working with you. We agreed probably far more than we disagreed, but those moments when we disagreed, I always knew that you were well prepared, you were thoughtful, you were passionate, and you came from a good place with every comment, and I respect that more than you'd ever know. And I always knew that if we were going to argue something, I needed to have my homework done because you were always prepared, and I thank you for that.
Thanks. Have to touch it. Well, I knew Krista before she came on the board. I knew her at church and got to know her well there. And then I also was a mentor for her Am I getting it? I was also a mentor for her, one of her daughters in the confirmation class at church. So I was so excited when I found out that she was coming on the board. And I just enjoy Krista as a buddy when we go to meetings and see each other at church. And so I think more of her as in another world than in the school board. So, Krista, we're going to miss you, but I'll continue to see you.
Chris, I enjoyed serving with you on the board. Thank you for the service to our community, and really appreciate how you helped me as we switched roles on the facilities committee. So thank you very much.
It's on. Okay. Chris, I agree with everything that everyone has said about you. It's all true. And I want to say, too, that I enjoyed serving with you. And you were always well prepared. You always studied all the issues. And you always voted for what was best for our school community and for all of our students. And I really appreciate that. And you did a great job on Facilities Committee. We will miss you. And I wish we could figure out a way to get you back on the school board.
Thank you, Krista, for your service. Have 100% confidence that every decision you made was done at the forefront of the thought of the kids and our employees, and I really appreciate your diligence for all that. And quite frankly, it just takes a special kind of person to survive COVID on the school board, so thank you. All right, one other thing we have a special little gift for you, just for you to always think about us and the time that you spent on the board, and just always know that we appreciate you, we love you, and we look forward to hearing from you in the future. Do you want to open it? Anything you want to share, say?
I don't know why I didn't think this would happen. I wasn't really prepared. But thank you so much. It really has been an honor to serve with this board. The caliber of this board, the reputation of this board is respected across the state. Whenever we go to meetings, people are always, they know about Cleveland City Schools, and they have really good things to say about Cleveland City Schools. And it is because we have such an excellent faculty, staff, parents, students, community. Everybody has the heart of the students in mind, and the future of our community is our focus. And I'm so optimistic about what's to come for Cleveland City Schools. I think somebody has said it before, but the best is yet to be.
Next item on the agenda is first reading of policies, and I'm going to turn to Matthew Coleman.
Let's get comfortable on this because there's a lot of them. As an introduction, we have broken these down. Some of the emails have come out in two groups. The big one is the 5.113, and then we'll have a first and second reading of that. And then the rest of them are primarily legislative changes that I'll get into in a minute, so we're going to clump those together. But with 5.113, I believe everyone should have a copy of that, or they'll pull it up.
Hey, Matt, point of clarification.
Yep.
The first reading of policies is just for the 5.113. The
Correct.
others is first and second.
Okay, so 5.113 is primarily changing the red language in there, giving the principals and administrator an option for an exemption there after a period of time. Is there any questions, concerns, discussion on the first reading of that policy? If not, does that take a motion to approve. Do we have a motion?
So I'd like to entertain a motion for the first reading of policies for policy 5.113. We have a first. We have a second.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Let's call the roll.
Motion to approve first reading of policy. Matt?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Jody is absent. Krista?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
And Andy?
Yes.
Pat?
Thank you.
So the second chunk here is the first and final reading of the policies, and these are all primarily the legislative changes that happened this summer. I went through, and there's a bunch of them in here we'll get into, but looked at the statutes, and a lot of them just followed that statutory language that needed change. So we'll do these by policy section and break them down that way, and if you guys want to discuss any of them, we can. But the first one will be Section 1, which is school visitors and school calendars, 2 policies there. Any questions or discussion anyone want to have? Okay. Moving on to Section 2, which is, again, 2 policies dealing with surplus property and bids and quotes. If nothing, Section 3, 3 policies there: emergency preparedness, security, and student transportation. Section 4 deals with class size ratio, family life education, use of AI, interscholastic athletics, library materials, grading systems, and promotion and retention. Any questions or discussion on those policies? Section 5 deals with physical assault leave, substitute teachers, duties of the director. Any questions or discussion? Yes.
Would you be able to pull up 5.307? I just want to verify, I know it's misspelled on the heading, and I just want to make sure it's not misspelled on the title there. Okay, we're good. Assault was just misspelled in the list, and I just want to make sure it wasn't pulled from that.
Anything else in that group? Moving on to Section 6, deals with school admissions, code of conduct, zero tolerance offenses, suspension, new, let's see, I had these all named till I got down to the end of those. Opioid antagonists and reporting child abuse. Any discussion on those? Okay.
Thank you, Matthew. Can you scroll on the screen to make sure all of the policy numbers are listed at the very bottom, please? So I'd like to entertain a motion to accept all the policies listed on the screen as first and second reading.
So moved.
That was Peggy. Is there a second?
Can I take the second?
Yes, Matthew
Second.
Coleman for second. Roll call, please.
Motion to approve the 23 policies listed. Peggy?
Yes.
Krista? Yes. Jody is absent. Nate?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Matthew?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
And passes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have strategic plan focus. Turn that over to Dr. Elliott.
Yes, this month our focus is on the engaged workforce component of our strategic plan. And with that, Mr. Kaiser is going to come and share an update.
Good evening again. We have been resting all summer in the HR office. These people back here have been hiring lots of people. No. If you'll go ahead and scroll to the next slide. So just going to start with introducing the human resources staff. And this is the slide that I used with all of our teachers when we did an in-service week. We did a presentation about human resources. And I really believe the top one is extremely important for us. every person in a leadership role for Cleveland City Schools is part of the human resources staff. Not meaning they work for me, meaning that they play an important role in making sure we have the best and the brightest, and we continue to retain best and the brightest. You've probably all heard it said, people don't leave their work necessarily, they leave leadership. So I think it's really important for us to understand how essential that is, especially at the school level, to have high-quality leadership there. And then, of course, the other folks on the list there, Ms. Michelle Adsit is our administrative assistant who onboards all these folks and really kind of makes it happen in a lot of ways. Dr. Susan Rodriguez has joined us as human resource specialist coming over from Cleveland High School, and I think has had a enjoyable learning experience in realizing there are lots of things that sometimes you don't know are going on that are happening in other parts of the district. Miss Brandy King really does not know that she's part of the human resource staff, but she is, because she is the person that helps us promote our school district and our positions online, and who will be working with quite a bit on some of our strategic plan pieces. And then, of course, I am listed there. If you would, go ahead and scroll to the next slide. So our goal on the strategic plan has been to provide a diverse, high-quality staff across our district. And I think we are making progress there. It has been challenging during the strategic plan, I will say that, because we have had COVID, and then we have had a teacher shortage, to be quite blunt, during this same period of time. But we are certainly making progress as a school system. If you would, go ahead and go to the next one. So I want to start by giving a little update on the summer and where we're at with our workforce at this point in time. And I will begin that by just saying thank you to the school board. I really do not think we are 3 positions from being completely staffed with our full-time staff. We had a late resignation that created a counseling position that we do have applicants for, and then we have a couple of assistant jobs to fill. But without your attention to compensation, without keeping that, keeping us at the front of the state in that area, I don't think our positions are filled. I think we're in a spot where we would be struggling, and you'll hear me talk about this in a little bit, but we've been very fortunate to be able to pull some experienced people out of other school districts. Obviously, that's not all about compensation, but it sure does not hurt. It sure does not hurt. And really, that creates some buzz that allows us to hire folks and to fill some spots that other people across the state are having a hard time filling. Across the state, challenges, especially in the area of ESL, special ed, math, and science, are very evident. Even in our local community, I can tell you it's very difficult to fill special ed positions in particular right now. If you would, go ahead and scroll, and we'll talk about some numbers. So this summer, we've had if you get into the spring and then the summer, we've had 116 full-time personnel transactions. What people often don't realize is we may be moving internally, but anytime that happens, there are pieces of paper that have to be touched, things have to be put in files, all those kind of things happen. So we had 116 of those transactions this summer. We have hired 72 new employees. With that is for 22 new positions. We've had 9 retirements, 35 resignations, 6 non-renewals. We will end up with 51 new certified employees and 21 new classified employees when all is said and done. So it has been a very busy summer in the HR department, but I do believe we've hired high-quality people. I will tell you it is more challenging than it has ever been. I have done more work on permits over this summer than I would say I have ever. Not necessarily because we're not hiring top-notch people, but we're hiring people that are completing their degrees or people that are transitioning into the state. We're getting them a permit while they get their full-time Tennessee license going so that we make sure we have those positions filled to start the school year. Been very busy this summer, but we are almost there. If you would, go ahead and scroll to the next slide. With that said, we have truly been Blue Raiders this hiring season. 39 of our 51 new certified positions have experience, meaning we are not very popular in some of the surrounding county school systems, including some across town, and then I'm pretty sure that Hamilton County does not like us very much right now. But that is what our task is. Our task is to hire the best people. Our task is to find the best people. And I think a lot of that, again, kudos to the school board for making compensation really teacher compensation and staff compensation a high priority because it certainly helps us a great deal. We can go ahead and scroll. So what are we trying to accomplish as a human resources department? And this is part of the presentation that I gave to staff. You know, you've heard a lot of people talk about the best is yet to come. Well, we're trying to create a culture of yet, and that has a meaning. I'll give you a little story. When I was a child, my grandmother, who was a teacher for 45 years, every New Year's Eve we would go to her house and eat a big dinner. The whole family would come in, and she made the greatest red velvet cake in the history of the world. But she did not like doing dishes. And you ate with silverware. There was no plasticware in Grandma's house. You ate with silverware. So she would always tell you to keep your fork. Well, you kept your fork because you knew the dessert, the red velvet cake, was coming. And I think that's what our attitude has to be as a school system. The dessert, the best, is coming ahead. The best is in the future for Cleveland City Schools. It's not in the past. To be frank, as I told those teachers, it's great that we have traditions, but the work is ahead. The work is what happens in Cleveland City Schools in the 2024-2025 school year. And so in order for us to be a school system where the best is yet to come, I believe we have to do three things. We have to create an environment where our employees are able to be energized. They're excited about coming to work every day. As I told them last week, everybody is excited today. Everybody's excited on the first day of school. Everybody's probably excited for most of this week. How excited are you going to be in February? How excited are you going to be when it's time to give the TCAP test? Our goal should be to have staff that is energized all year long, and that we're enabling them to be energized. Next, we have employees that are engaged, meaning they're not just there in body, but they're in mind and spirit as well, and they're engaged in the work with students. That's the way we get better. And then last but not least, I think is really important that we're enabling our educators to make the professional decisions that they need to make. We have hired them for a reason. We have proclaimed that we're hiring the best, and so we need to let them show that by allowing them to make the right decisions for our students. So for me, that's what creating a culture of yet is about, and that's how we get to the best is actually yet to come for Cleveland City Schools. If you'll go to the next slide for me. So how do we do that? We do that by building a championship culture. We talked about committing to a championship culture. If you will, you'll see those C words that are underneath culture there on the slide. Those are words that we have tried to embrace as our core values. You will notice that those are also words that are on our portrait of a graduate. So in my message last week to the staff, I told them it's awful hard for us to create students, to create graduates that have these characteristics if we don't embody those characteristics ourselves. So we are committed to having character, being critical thinkers, being creative in solving our problems, collaborating, and communicating well in Cleveland City Schools. How do we do that? We do that by building this championship culture, if you'll go to the next slide for me. And that has some components that I believe we have to be committed to in our staff. The first is having credible leaders. What is a credible leader? A credible leader is someone that is trustworthy and competent in the area that they're leading. We have to ensure that is the case in every leadership position in Cleveland City Schools. We have to have a clear and compelling vision, a shared path forward as a district and at each of our schools. We have to have core values. We have to know what matters to us. We have to have standards of behavior where we know how we should act and interact not only with our students, but with each other. We have to have committed and unified team members, which is obvious. And then we have to have aligned systems, which means we have processes that allow us to find the other components that don't get in the way of our success. So those are things that we're going to be working toward and looking toward building in the Human Resources Department and communicating this more with our staff. I shared this quote, and I'll share this with you. A lot of people don't necessarily like it when we call our students and families our customers, but that's exactly what they are. They have a lot more options than they've ever had with where they go and what they do. And so I changed this for the staff, quote for the staff last week, and I said, students and families will never love a school system until the employees love it first. And that should be our goal. That should be our goal as leaders. That should be our goal in the Human Resources Department, is to create a working environment where the staff and the students love the schools, but also love the school system. And I think when we get that in all of our schools, we'll see our school system continue to take off. So where are we at now with the strategic plan? So these are our action steps. Increase social media use and other proactive approaches in teacher recruiting. I believe that we have done that. We've kind of kicked that back up a little bit over the last few weeks. Changing recruiting documentation to engage more minority candidates. A lot of that has been through social media use and getting the word out in the job boards that we use. Have assisted us in being able to do that. Create a staff diversity advisory committee. We've had that for several years. That will continue. Develop a teacher pipeline for paraprofessionals and current students to enter the teaching profession. A couple years ago, we started teaching as a profession at Cleveland High School, and this year we have our first participant, Miss Allison Reedy from Arnold is our first person who will be participating in Grow Your Own, so we have got that up going. Our initial partnership with will be with UTC, and then we'll look to expand that moving forward. And then develop district core values and belief along with a plan for marketing those beliefs through social media. So you kind of heard about the core values. Our task this year will be to ramp up the marketing piece of that and really get the word out about why Cleveland City Schools is the place to teach in Tennessee. Our primary diversity goal, which we have to turn into the state every year, they required us this year. I'm not a huge fan of numbers on this, but the state required us to put numbers on this this year. But the goal is to continue implementing strategies to recruit and retain employees more reflective of the district's student population by increasing the number of minority applicants available for positions by 5% and by retaining 100% of existing minority educators. That's our goal. I went back and forth with the state several times about how ridiculous I thought the last part is. I'm going to say, am I going to say that we don't want to retain somebody? Sure, I'm going to say we're going to retain 100% of the minority educators. But that is our goal. I will tell you of the employees that we hired this year, 15 employees will add diversity to their position, which is roughly 20% of the employees that we hired. We have converted to a new system, so we're working on all of the ways that we need to pull that data out to look at who our applicants actually are at this point in time. And then if you'll go ahead. This is our diversity advisory committee from last year. I will get this up going in the next couple weeks or so, but I just want to recognize these folks who have served us this past year. Kim Bradford, principal at Stewart, was on our diversity advisory committee. Dr. Eric Garner at Cleveland High School was our assistant principal on the diversity advisory committee. Chris Alvarez, teacher at Ross, was on our diversity advisory committee. Rodney Broadnax, art teacher at Cleveland Middle School. Michelle Adsit, of course. Ben Garcia, who is a teacher at Cleveland Middle School now. Ben was our paraprofessional, and then he has moved into a teaching role. And then we added Dr. Valerie Taylor as our supervisory rep this past year. Last but not least, what are our future plans? So number one is something that I never thought would be a challenge, but it is quite a challenge to remain fully staffed. And one of those major challenges is now finding people that are able to fill maternity leaves and positions after the school year has started. We're not so much to the point where we have a lot of challenges filling our full-time positions, but as if we have to have a long-term sub or one of those folks, it's becoming more and more challenging. So that'll certainly be one of our goals, and make Cleveland City Schools an employee destination. We want it to be the school system where people want to come work. Continue to stay at the forefront of Tennessee in compensation. I think that's really important, especially staying out in front of our neighbors. You know, that's who we compete with for the people in our community. Additional work on marketing to future employees. I think we've done some of that. I think we are pulling more and more folks out of places like Hamilton County, and that should be our goal. Additional work on lowering turnover rates. Continue to kind of dig into that. That's one of the tasks that Dr. Rodriguez will have. Part of her doctoral work was on that sort of thing, and so we'll challenge her with helping us take a look at that. And then, of course, continue working on ways to increase staff diversity across the district, whether that means by putting a male teacher in a predominantly female building or other ways that we may need to increase diversity. We're committed to continuing that work. And I think that is it. I will entertain any questions.
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
To what do you attribute the teacher shortage? Is it the growth in our school population? That
No,
we need more
I
teachers?
attribute it to the last 20 years, people have been telling people not to go into education and not
That's
to
what
be
I
a
was
teacher.
thinking.
And then also, you know, there's a pay issue, right? Most jobs where people have these degrees, they tend to make more. So we're literally in the top 10 in the state in compensation. So imagine if you're not in a place like Cleveland and you're trying to fill positions, how difficult it can be. But I think most of it is people are not really encouraged to go into education.
What could we do to encourage them?
Oh, I think it is continuing to grow your own stuff. I think it is continuing to highlight the things that are great about it, right? I mean, I hate to say I lectured, but I kind of lectured our staff a little bit. Go onto social media and watch the things that are about education. 10 things are negative to 1 positive. You know, if we promoted I told them my example was if they promoted the Olympics the way we promote education, they'd be showing all the injuries and all the bad stuff. That's not how they promote the Olympics, because nobody would watch it, right? They promote what they do is they promote the triumphs of the human spirit. Well, we have those every day in education, but we don't have anybody that's running around with a camera to promote those all the time. We have to do that.
I try to encourage my grandkids, you know, to go into education because I always loved it. And I think people don't realize how great it is and how much you really, really can truly enjoy it.
All right? Oh.
Thank you, Matt. Kelly, at our convocation, I noticed a list of teachers who left especially I was interested in the middle school and high school because it seemed that they had so many teachers who were leaving. And I realize they have a larger staff too, and that's one of the reasons. But do you have any kind of statistics on how many were leaving because of retirement or how many were leaving, you know, for various reasons? What was that? Could you give us a little bit of that?
Well, I can't tell you the numbers specifically. I can tell you that they're leaving for a variety of reasons. A lot of them are leaving for, you know, family moves and other things. You saw the 9 folks that retired, so there wasn't a tremendous amount of retirements. I think you have some attrition that could be attributed to people that were unhappy. And some of those were not necessarily we're not necessarily unhappy that they were unhappy because, we need to be them to be doing some different things. I think some of them are choosing to leave education. I mean, let's face it, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. It gets more difficult every day. And I think it is a combination of those things. But yes, certainly, the number of folks that are new at the high school and middle school are considerably more than some of our other schools. I think it's the nature of who they're serving, the students that they're serving, and some of those challenges that they deal with.
Do you have someone, or do you encourage those who are leaving because they're not happy or they don't
Yeah.
like us or whatever other than the retirements? Do we do anything to counsel them or to find out,
We
what
do
can
exit
we do
surveys.
to?
Yeah, we do an exit survey with them, and I just read some of those the other day. I think a lot of times it's a variety. It's complicated, right? So they're not necessarily just disgruntled with one person. Maybe they don't like what they were asked to teach. Maybe they don't like how the curriculum rolled out. Maybe they don't like how discipline was handled. By and large, though, most of them are not so disgruntled about that as it is they need to move on for other family reasons, whether it's pay or it's, they've decided to stay home. We lost several that decided to make the decision to stay home with their kids while they had an opportunity. But yes, they don't always all do the exit survey, which I understand, but we do send them out.
Thanks.
All right.
Any more questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. All right, next on the agenda, we have a word from our student rep, Mr. Jackson. And before you kind of give an update on CHS, since this is your first meeting, if you will just take a little bit of time and kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then move into your update, if that's
Yes,
okay
sir.
with you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackson Azeron, and I'm super excited to be a senior here at Cleveland. At the school, I'm the senior editor of the yearbook, as well as the vice president of the Environmental Awareness Association. I love to challenge myself, so this past summer I've been learning to fly, and I got my student pilot license. And some goals here, too. I'd like to provide some valuable insight, as well as update you and keep that going on. So on that note, here's some updates. We've been busy this past summer. Our band had their band camp, as they usually do, and their show is called Fast Forward, about the evolution of music. Our yearbook sent some people to Orlando for a yearbook conference where we learned a lot of things kind of dedicated to how to do this, how to make this better, and this year is going to be really great for that. iPad deployment was July 30th. This year we're trying out iPads, which is really exciting in the classroom. And our first days back to school was today, actually, so we're doing kind of rolling out with some new cool reconnection days, and Senior Sunrise will be this Wednesday at 6:30. So thank you very much, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Jackson?
I don't have any questions of him, but I wanted to tell Michael that he didn't go to Yates, but his sister did.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a presentation from CHS.
Yes, I'm going to ask Mr. Pritchard and Mr. Benton to come and share a new concept they've come up with.
So y'all said the best was yet to come, so here we are. So over the last few years, actually ever since I've been in education, it seems like we lose the battle, and most recent years have lost the war as far as grades, attendance, and discipline. And so we got together this summer, and we were like, what can we do? Like, we've got to, everybody's thinking, want us to be progressive and think outside the box and that kind of thing. So what can we do to really try to win this and try to bring it back so we can get things down to a normal, workable number? And so we kind of worked together. Donald Benton, he has earned his keep for us this summer. He had some ideas and brought it to the admin team, and man, we shot holes in it and destroyed it and tore it apart and did everything we could to make him cry. He walked out of the room and cleaned his eyes a little bit and come back in the room, and we were ready to go. And so we put together, I think, is what a pretty good plan. We pitched it to our teachers. They absolutely loved it. Our kids have been talking about it. Jackson, you heard about it today. He loved it. And so our kids were talking about it today, and I think it's really going to be a game changer for us. So with that, I'm going to let Mr. Benton kind of lead you guys through it just a little bit.
Thank you so much. The way this thing started out is, what can we do to highlight people like this young man? What can we do to keep him just pressing forward, and to get some of our kids to look at him and go, man, I want to be like that. And so I had this, I tell you, this creative name for it called the Raider Way. I really pressed in on this. I was so excited about this. And then I called one of my friends up at Cleveland Middle School, and I began to tell them about the Raider Way. And they said, yeah, we do the Raider Way too. And I said, that's not possible, because I came up with it like a few nights ago. No, we do it as well. It's like that, no. Well, Cleveland Middle School does a PBIS as well called the Raider Way. So it's kind of cool, because our sister school is doing the same thing. Our feeder school is doing the same thing as us. And so that was all by chance. That was not me copying you, Mr. Akion over there, but I think it's going to work out. I got the pleasure to be a part of the MTSS team this past year with Dr. Cars, and learned quite a bit about positive behavior interventions and supports. And it is very tough to implement at the high school level. So we talked about this whole thing with what is the currency of high school students. You go into an elementary school and you give them stickers, and you play kickball with them, and they'll do anything for you. And then you go to the middle school and you offer them a Coke and a Snickers, man, and they're jumping off the walls. Yeah, we'll do that. But at the high school level, we got to find what motivates them to do the right things. And so here at the end of this presentation, I'll get to that reward that I think that Dr. Elliott and then Dr. Lang, Dr. Cars, we all have kind of discussed, as well as our admin team, that we have a really good idea. So if you go to the next slide, it's the Raider Way program is built around our slogan: work hard, get smart, be nice. Work hard, of course, being success. 80% of success is showing up, and we're going to focus on attendance and tardies. Get smart is going to talk about our grades, and be nice, of course, the discipline portion that Mr. Pritchard was talking about. So if you look at our Raider Way reward dates, we're going to run it in 4 sessions, and this is just the fall. We also have a plan for the spring. But we're going to run this, so August the 7th through the 30th will be a session. So that's the cool part about this, is if you don't make Raider Way during that session, everything kind of resets for the second session. And so I think that's what's so awesome about this, is that we're showing grace, but we're also progress monitoring our kids to make sure that they are successful. And we've broken this down up into 9 weeks so that we can hit those checkpoints of the 9 weeks grading period, and then halfway in between the 9 weeks grading period. If you go to the next slide there, we can talk about how to qualify for the Raider Way. So the work hard portion, of course, like I said, was about the attendance and the tardy policy. No more than 1 unexcused tardy, and no more than 0 unexcused absences between that date range. If we want to tackle an attendance problem, then we can't just keep sitting and looking at it in the corner and just hoping that man, I just hope it gets better. I hope this hopefully will get some of our students to go, you know what, I need to show up for school, because if they're not in the seat, we can't teach them. And I think everyone in this room that has a degree and has gone through high school and has a job, showing up is the most important thing that we can do at a school, in a job, in our career. And so that's our first way of how to qualify for the Raider Way. The second part there, of course, is get smart. You can go on, Going to the next slide there, sorry about that. And then Get Smart is all of our classes are passing with a D or above. We have this tendency in education to go, well, the 9 weeks ends at this time. I can wait till 3 days before, or if I'm being honest, 20 minutes before the 9 weeks ends, and turn in this and hopefully get a passing grade.
by doing it this way, we're encouraging our students to keep up with those grades all the way throughout the session. And so when we do it for 4 weeks, we have that session there saying you've got to pass those grades, passing in all those classes in order to qualify for the Raider Way. The second part, or the third part here, is the Be Nice portion, and we're going to go no in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension during that date range. And so let's say a student does have in-school for the first session. When we get to the second session, they have no in-school. They can qualify for the Be Nice portion as well. I got to speak with our 9th graders today, and I led off by telling them this. The way to be successful in high school is to do all the easy things great. You show up, you're on time. You don't have a hood on your head. You don't have holes above your neck. I mean, these are the easy things in life. And if you do this, you're going to be successful. And this is all, we're just promoting the easy things. And that's what we want our students to tackle. So I guess the thing is like, what do you get out of this? What is that currency? So if you'll go to the next slide, your currency is on that Raider Way Friday, we're going to give you your time back. We're going to let you leave at 11 o'clock and go hang out with your buddies and go to Monterey and eat lunch. And this is crazy, but in 1997, when I entered in high school, and that is not a joke, by the way, that is true. I graduated in 2000. I know you're like, that guy doesn't have any hair. There's no way. He's got to be older than that. We did this, but we did it for every other week. And man, this was so motivating to me. So I kind of took my high school's idea and tried to implement it here and fit it around being a Raider there. So what you would say, what are you going to do with the rest of the students, maybe the students that don't get that? We're going to run an intervention. We're going to run a tutoring session. So we're going to go to Rise that day, and we'll show you the schedule here in a second. And then we're going to break kids down into certain groups, and we're going to run a tutoring session, and we're going to make up work, and we're going to work with them and make sure they understand, and we're going to get those grades up because we know the next Raider Way session is going to happen. So we're going to go and start fixing those problems so that those kids can qualify for the next session. So if you want to look at the schedule there's a quick look at it. We're going to run all 4 blocks. Then we're going to go to Rise and then dismiss our Raider Way students, and then we'll run our lunches. We're hoping that we only have to run 2 lunches. But if it's a tough, you had mentioned February. I think, Mr. Kaiser, that is a tough month to get through, apparently, as educators. If we're having a tough month, we'll run 3 lunches. So we'll pull that data the week before, and we'll plan out the next week with that as well. So that's kind of like our Tier 2 way of looking at PBIS. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we do have a Tier 3 reward system as well. For our top raters, yep, you can go ahead, Dr. Raper, that's great. For our top raters, if they have an A or B in the class, if they have no unexcused absences in that class, and if they have 0 tardies in that class, they are exempt from their final exam. And I'll tell you, I think we have more kids walking around Cleveland High School that already have this from last year that would have qualified for that. And we need to reward those kids and tell them thank you for making our school what it is. But not only that, but we need to motivate the ones that can do this and get them up to that level as well. And so that is the Raider Way. That's what we're going to try this year. Here's the best part about it. It hasn't costed us a thing. We haven't spent any money doing this. So we're not $25,000 into a subscription from a group, a company in California. All we've lost is hair follicles, and I don't have much of those left, so we're doing okay. So me and Mr. Pritchard and our administration team here in the back, we're so excited to present this to you guys and tell you that we're somebody's got to be number one. Why not us? And so that's what we are going to try to do. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. That is not a voting item, so we'll move on to the next agenda item. Facilities Committee update.
Okay, Hal Taylor's going to come for that portion.
I'm not real sure how to follow that. That's tough. Yeah, he does. We've had typically we had some ESSER funds, as you all know. We've done a lot with the ESSER funds, and they were supposed to end June 30th, and pretty much what happened was whatever you had left that you couldn't utilize went away. And using the ESSER funds, there were restrictions for the capital projects. And, you know, to do a capital project, it takes engineers, architects. You have to do things rather quickly. We were having a hard time getting bids. So we actually had about 1.3 million in ESSER funds left that we were looking at expiring on June 30th and not being able to use. And Dr. Taylor came in and told us that they had changed that for us. And we found out in June, going into July, that that had changed. So now what ESSER funds have said is if you can take that 1.3 million, if you can get a planning session planned for the use of that by August 15th, which today's the 5th, by August 15th, and then if you could go from there to have it obligated by September 30th, you could go ahead and you could use the ESSER funds, and then there would also be a 2-year extension given to you. Well, that's a very short amount of time to use that kind of money. Also, there's requirements. It has to fit into certain categories with ESSER. If you remember some of our other projects, that had to be things that would allow us to spread children out, or ventilation, air conditioning, flooring, that type of thing. So we got together with a short amount of time and we looked at what projects were available on our capital list and what projects might be something we could get done quickly. They had to be something that if we did bring in the architects and engineers, that they could do it in such a way that they could write the specs. For instance, to build a school, there's 250 pages of blueprints in a 2-inch book. Okay, well, we knew we couldn't take that long. They're still busy right now, so we had to do something that could have specs written very easily, very quickly, and that we could get this out to bid to obligate. So we've come up with a bundle of things that we think will fit that category, this 1.3 million. So I want to share that with you. First off, there's still some academic expenditures out there that I don't have listed necessarily that Dr. Taylor is looking at that we'll need to take care of first. And so we have some academic expenditures, like I said, that we would have to come in that have already been approved, if that's my understanding. Then what we want to talk to you about that we could do and that would move us forward and be beneficial would be, one, a school bus for $140,000. That's about the going rate of school buses now. That would get us ahead of the game where we are with our school buses. Along those lines, we're finally getting drivers, so this would help us move to getting another school bus, getting our fleet updated, and we could go ahead and maybe update a little earlier than we have listed in the 5-year plan. The next one would be the Arnold HVAC systems. The Arnold HVAC systems are failing on us. We had talked about it last year. We were going to do a few in July. As we've been extremely busy, we were looking at doing a few. They're failing. They're failing at. They start failing at 12 years of age. They shouldn't have any problems till 20. And these units have been obsoleted. They're no longer making them. To repair a unit is costing us about $6,000, and it takes a week for 2 technicians to repair a unit. So we looked at this would be a really good opportunity to do a per unit basis, to have the engineer thinks he can bid it on a per unit basis, walk in, let's put a bid out, and probably look at replacing as many as 25 units at Arnold and do it every time we have a break. If we do it on a per unit basis, then the first thing we would do is fall break would come up and we would try to get 2 classrooms. We have 5 classrooms out right now, right, Mr. Chai? 5 classrooms, some units that we've already done repairs on. So like on this fall break, we might be able to knock out the 2 classrooms affected the most. Then on Thanksgiving, if we have it set up with that contractor ahead of time, maybe a couple of more. Then Christmas, a few more. So by doing it per unit, we could knock these out as fast and as soon as we got a chance to, because they are in the classroom, so we can't do it. He has no extra classrooms there, so we can't do it without affecting our teachers. So this would give us an opportunity to do a per unit basis, walk in, and every time we got a chance, knock one of those units out and take care of the whole school instead of just piecemealing it with what we were going to have to do was like 5 units initially and not really know where to go from there. So that was the second project, and we estimate that one would be about $750,000 to do that. We're then looking at another project we could get quickly, tie up that needs to be done, and that's where the CMS bleachers, I don't know if you've been at Cleveland Middle School recently, they are the age of the school. They're looking pretty rough. They've had volunteer groups come in time and time again to clean them. The mechanical aspects are worn out. We're probably looking at having to put another $10,000 or $20,000 just to get the rollers replaced if we keep them. So we think we could replace the CMS bleachers, get those obligated, and get those replaced for $175,000 to $200,000. And so again, that would fit part of what we're doing. That would fit the definition for the ESSER funds. And then the last one would be the Denning Center. As the resource center, we need some warehouse space. There are major problems in what used to be the racquetball courts when it was the YMCA. Those floors have held moisture on them. They're rotting out. Those areas could not be used for anything. However, they would be great. That area would be wonderful because the ceilings that you see are 8 foot tall, but those ceilings are actually 15 foot above those drop ceilings. We could take those drop ceilings, basically move them up and create a 12-foot high space, put a roll-up door and have warehouse space there that could be then used for the family resource unit for a clothing and for food storage and for clothing storage and for a warehouse space a truck could come into and be able to unload and load. So we're looking at, we think that would be somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000. Again, that's something that we met with our architect. He feels that he could get those drawings and stuff drawn up quickly so that we could have a plan by August 15th, but then also have these things taken care of and have it out to bid to where we can put a letter of intent and have the money actually obligated by September 30th. And that's the kicker, is just the amount of time to obligate the funds, not only plan for them, but then obligate them. So that's what we would come to you with tonight and ask you to consider moving forward with the ESSER funds. Those are the 4 things that we would come to you with.
Before we go further, Andy, you have anything that you want to say as the facilities chair?
Yes. Do we need to make a motion on this first? So
We just need to have a motion and take a vote on this, the item for these 4 items that would be the $1.3 million so that we can continue and get that proposed by August the 15th.
So this isn't coming as a recommendation from this facilities committee?
No, the facility, because of the timing of this, the facilities committee has not met, so it would be just coming as a whole board here.
All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion for the presentation that Hal Taylor made about the use of ESSER funds.
I move that we accept and allocate those funds according to Hal Taylor's plan.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a first from Crystal McKay, second from Andy Lay. Roll call, please.
The motion to approve the presentation from Hal for ESSER funds. Nate?
Yes?
Krista?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Peggy?
Yes.
And Jody's absent, so it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Also, Hal Taylor's here. I'd just like to again say thank you for his leadership on this building here as we held our ribbon cutting earlier today. I appreciate his team. And also, I would like to recognize our technology team and Dr. Raper. They did a lot of work here getting our technology up. I think it was 6 miles of cable that was pulled and networked in around through here. So a lot of work by his group as well. So hats off to our team for all their hard work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right. Also, we had a couple other items regarding the facilities committee piece. That was part of the summer update, so I know Mr. Taylor might have some more there to update. And facilities committee leader, I'm not sure if Mr. Lay has anything else to share as well.
You want to go? You go first, and I'll.
Well, yes, excuse me for a second, I'm lost a little bit here. We have planned on updating on the facilities next committee meeting. We'll need to make a date for that. And then what we will do is set up the first advisory council meeting at that point. So just if you want to look at that, hopefully the advisory council will be meeting in 2 weeks. And then, like I said, then for the facilities piece. As we said earlier today, I just cover with the Raider Drive update, also with the update on Candies Creek. Candies Creek right now, we've had 9 weather days out there, and it is moving forward. We're still on track with Candies Creek to be done in January. So just let you know on that, we're still moving forward there. Here we have, if you did the tour today, you may see some small blemishes. The timeline was the most important, was to get in the building, get it functional, make everything work, right? And so we still will be working on this building, handling some small things for the next month or so. We got the big things. As we said, when we looked at our original budget, we looked at where we came in. We came in at 10,000 under what we originally planned to spend. Then on top of that, we have about $110,000 in contingency that we did not spend in the construction. So there's the 120,000, and then on top of that, we had a accrued interest of about 175,000. So that's where we come up to where we were $287,000 that was set aside in the bonds that is still there. We are looking at, the city was supposed to take care of the Arnold parking lot. We were going to pay the city to do that. They've had a very tight agenda. They've had several issues come up with them taking care of the Arnold parking lot. So we have, Mr. Chai, his people have been great. They've been very patient with us, but those folks need the parking lot fixed. So I've informed Public Works that we'll be taking that project back over. I've asked the architect to get that up to bid. You've already allocated the funding for that, so I've asked him to get that up to bid as soon as possible. And so that's the way we're going to move to try to get those teachers taken care of, is put it back or bid ourselves. We now are seeing more and more contractors bidding. When we put that up for bid, we had no contractors show up. So now we're seeing more contractors coming available. So I think we'll get a bid this time. We would also like to go ahead at that point and do an alternate bid using the funds that we still have from the bond funds that need to be spent. We would do an alternate bid here, which you won't need to vote on because we've already approved using it, but I just want to make you aware, an alternate bid to fix this parking lot at the same time. But we wouldn't want to, like I said, that would be the alternate bid, and the other would be the primary. But doing 2 projects together would make more sense. We would probably get a better bid and save some money by doing it that way. So that's the game plan, the update I wanted to make you aware of. Moving forward, that's kind of where we're going on here. We got a couple of other small things here that we will do. We'll be cleaning out the drive-through area to make we've already got picnic tables that will go there to make an outside venue for trainings, and possibly the high school could use, folks could use for the Greenway. Those things were purchased under their grant, so we'll clean that up as well. And then we still need to put a warehouse door in the back so we can take deliveries of things like books, AC test. We've got how many pallets altogether did we receive, Autumn? Like 13 pallets of books altogether. And the thing that we didn't show off was the room full of books and racks in the back that we were able to sort and separate, and schools were able to come. So that's where that warehouse door comes into play, so that we can have deliveries here and books can be sorted. Makes a lot more sense here, and so that's the other remaining pieces that we're going to do since we have the funding to do them. That would make life much easier, I think, for everybody in our admin and our schools. So, and that's all I have, Dr. Elliott.
Okay, thank you, Al.
All right, next on the agenda, we want to give Mr. Lay opportunities to talk.
Yeah, so one more item for the Facilities Committee from our June 10th meeting with City Council, where we discussed how the growth in our community is affecting our schools. I would like to see if we could reserve the 19th of September as a day to see if they could meet to continue that discussion.
Okay. Yeah, September 19th works on my calendar. I think Andrea has been checking with some of you as board members on that. So I'll be happy to reach out to the city council and the team there and invite them for a combined meeting as they requested back in June when we met with them. Okay, September 19th. Okay.
Thank you.
And that's not a voting item either, so we'll continue along the agenda. Next on the agenda, we have a legislative update. Carolyn, do you have anything you want to share with us?
There's not much happening on the Hill right now, but let's wait a few months and I'll have quite a bit.
All right, that concludes our agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. We have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned, 6:58.